There's a quiet moment just after waking, when the house is still. The light has not yet entered the window, and all you hear is the sound of your own breath. That moment, so often unnoticed, holds a secret. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, one of Japan's longest-living physicians, once said, "If you let the morning slip by, you're giving away your strength little by little." It's not just a poetic thought. It's a truth that most of us, especially as we grow older, weren't told clearly enough. Many believe that muscle fades with age simply because we move less. But there's something else happening, something quieter and more urgent. While we sleep, the body loses protein. After 60, this natural loss speeds up. By morning, your muscles are already in a fragile state, running on reserves that may no longer be there. And what you put on your plate, or don't, becomes the silent decision between strength and loss. But here's the part no one explains. The first food of the day speaks directly to your biology. It sends a message. It can whisper, "Hold on, rebuild, you are safe." Or it can say nothing at all, allowing the slow erosion to continue. Dr. Andrew Weil, a pioneer of integrative medicine, puts it simply. What you eat in the first hours of your day determines your biological messages for the next 12. That message isn't about dieting. It's not about weight. It's about keeping the legs steady, the arms strong, the back upright. It's about walking without fear, reaching without pain, and living without the shadow of dependence. Too often, the first meal is rushed, forgotten, or chosen for comfort. A slice of toast, a banana, a cup of coffee on an empty stomach. These may feel gentle, but inside they do little to stop the body's quiet breakdown. Sweet or light breakfast, so common and so beloved, can leave us undernourished when we most need rebuilding. And that's why many wake up tired and stay tired. Not because of age alone, but because the body was asking for help, and we gave it sugar. But there is another way. A morning food, humble, familiar, and backed by science, has been shown to cut muscle loss in older adults by up to 53% when consumed at the right time. Not a supplement, not a miracle. Simple, powerful food that nourishes the muscles before they begin to weaken for the day. We'll get there soon. But first, we need to understand why so many good people, strong, wise, and willing, are losing strength without even noticing. It's not their fault. It's just that no one told them the truth. Until now. There's a kind of breakfast that many older adults turn to without a second thought. It feels light. It feels familiar. Toast with jam, a piece of fruit, a few crackers with tea. It doesn't feel wrong. In fact, it feels gentle on a quiet morning. But this very comfort, this softness, hides a silent cost. After a full night's sleep, your body is not just waking up, it is recovering from hours of fasting. And the first thing it needs is not sugar or starch, but building blocks, amino acids, the quiet nutrients that repair what the night has taken. By the time you reach your 60s or 70s, your body has already lost much of the efficiency it once had. Muscle doesn't rebuild the way it used to. The system that used to repair tissue while you slept now wakes up slower, needing a clearer signal to get to work. That signal comes from protein, specifically from an amino acid called leucine. Without it, your body keeps breaking down muscle even as you sit there sipping your tea. You feel fine, maybe a little stiff, maybe a little tired. But inside, your legs are slowly weakening, your back losing support, your arms becoming just a bit less steady. In Japan, elders treat breakfast very differently. It's not sweet, it's not rushed. It's warm, savory, and filled with strength. A small bowl of miso soup, soft tofu, grilled fish, a spoon of fermented vegetables, maybe a soft-boiled egg. These are not fancy choices, but they carry a wisdom many have forgotten. These foods don't just fill the stomach. They stop the loss. They send the right signal to the body. You're safe, rebuild, repair. And so those who start their day with protein do more than just nourish their muscles. They protect their independence. If your first meal is fruit alone, or bread with a bit of butter, you may be unknowingly extending your nightly fast far beyond what your body can afford. By the time lunch arrives, the damage has already begun. But when you shift, just a little, everything changes. One boiled egg, A spoon or two of cottage cheese, a warm cinnamon tea. This combination is more than food. It's a message of strength. It tells the body, hold on, we're not done yet. Because here's the truth, muscle doesn't disappear overnight. It's not taken by age. It's eaten slowly by your own body unless you feed it first. Some foods are not just meals, they are quiet protectors. Especially as we age, when the body no longer bounces back like it once did, and mornings carry more stiffness than strength. But inside that stillness, there's a chance to intervene, not with loud, complicated routines, with something simple, something deeply nourishing, a food that doesn't ask for praise, but does its work with quiet precision. In a study of older adults, scientists discovered something remarkable. One food, plain Greek yogurt, when eaten early in the day and rich in protein, reduced muscle breakdown by up to 53%. Not because it's trendy, not because it's exotic, but because of what it holds inside. Leucine, the very amino acid your body depends on for repair. Casein, a slow-digesting protein that feeds your muscles steadily through the morning. Calcium, for bones that still carry the weight of your life. And probiotics, those tiny allies that support your gut, where so much of your immunity and energy are born. But the real strength of this food is not just in its nutrients, it's in its timing. When eaten in the first hours of the day, before the damage deepens, before the loss begins, it becomes something more, a shield, a quiet ally, a protector of all the effort your body made the day before. And this is not just science, it's tradition. In Sardinia, one of the world's blue zones where people often live past 100, yogurt and fermented dairy are part of a gentle morning rhythm. Grandfathers with weathered hands stir goat milk yogurt into a clay bowl. Grandmothers sprinkle herbs or flax. It's not just food, it's respect, it's consistency. And somehow in the simplicity of that act, the muscles stay strong enough to carry firewood, to walk to the garden, to dance, even in their 90s. You don't need much, just 1 cup. A spoon of ground flaxseed, a pinch of turmeric or cocoa, that's it. The digestion slows, the energy steadies, and the muscles receive what they've been waiting for all night. It doesn't make you younger, but it helps your body stop the bleeding, the silent loss that no one sees until walking becomes difficult and chairs feel too low. Because this isn't just breakfast. It's not just protein. It's not even just yogurt. It's a morning shield, one that protects what your body worked so hard to build while you slept. Some habits feel so ordinary, so small that we never stop to question them. A warm mug between your hands, the first sip of coffee in the morning light. For many, that ritual is sacred, a quiet moment of comfort. But beneath the aroma and the calm lies something rarely discussed. What happens when that coffee enters an empty body? As we age, our chemistry shifts. Hormones no longer dance with the same rhythm. And in the early morning, cortisol, and the stress hormone, naturally rises. This is the body's way of preparing us for the day. But when coffee is the first thing that touches your stomach, especially without food, that cortisol surge sharpens. It tells the body to stay on alert, to conserve energy, to break down muscle tissue for fuel, not to build, but to survive. And so, without meaning to, the very habit meant to energize you begins doing the opposite. The protein synthesis, the internal work of rebuilding what sleep has taken, is delayed. The muscle breakdown that began during the night continues into the daylight. You may feel awake, but the body feels underfed, under attack, in survival mode. In Okinawa, elders approach mornings differently. Before the coffee, before the green tea, there is nourishment. A bowl of warm miso soup, a piece of tofu, sometimes just a spoon of rice with a dash of fermented vegetables. Nothing extravagant, but always something solid, something that speaks to the body and says, "You're safe, you're fed. Begin your work." Even the smallest bit of protein in those early hours, a boiled egg, a spoonful of yogurt, a cube of cheese, can shift the body from defense into repair. It doesn't take much, just enough to tell the system, you are no longer fasting, you are no longer alone. Because coffee may wake the mind, but it is protein that keeps you standing. That holds your knees steady when you rise from the chair. That helps your balance when the ground feels uncertain. And that, more than any routine or supplement, is what makes the difference between surviving the day and truly living it. There's something few people tell you about aging. Your body still wants to repair itself, still wants to be strong, to hold you upright, to carry you through the day without trembling. But the signals it once understood easily now arrive slower, fainter. What once worked effortlessly now needs clarity, intention, and most of all, the right timing. After 60, your body doesn't respond to protein the way it used to. The scientific term is anabolic resistance, but the experience is simpler than the words. You eat what you always ate, but your muscles no longer listen. You feel weaker, even though you've eaten. It's not because you're eating too little. It's because your body now needs more, and it needs it earlier. In youth, even small amounts of protein spread throughout the day were enough to maintain muscle. But with time, the body needs more to send the same message. Rebuild. Hold the line. Don't let go. And that message is strongest, most clearly heard, in the morning. Why the morning? Because that's when your body is most sensitive to insulin, the hormone that opens the door for nutrients to enter cells. It's when your muscle receptors are awake, alert, waiting for instruction. But if that window passes, and the message never comes, the opportunity slips away, and the muscles, those quiet pillars of your independence, continue their slow retreat. That's why in this stage of life, protein is not just a number, it is a rhythm that must begin early, before 9 a.m. if possible. A full 25 grams of complete protein, from eggs, from dairy, from tofu, from a gentle shake if that's what you have. Not all at once, but all with purpose. All with the dignity of someone who knows their body still deserves strength. Because losing muscle after 60 is not a sign of aging. It's a sign that the signal isn't arriving on time. You're not too late. You're not too weak. You're simply out of rhythm. And that can be restored. After 60, you don't lose muscle because you don't move. You lose it because your food arrives too late. And the good news is, it doesn't take a revolution to change that. Just one shift, one morning, one message sent clearly and early that says, I'm still here. I still matter. I still want to stand. There is something about the early hours of the day that holds quiet power. Not in the noise of alarms or the clinking of dishes, but in the subtle moments before everything begins. The way light softens through the curtain, how the floor feels beneath the feet, the silence that lingers before the world speaks. It is in this gentle space that your body listens most closely. And what you give it, or what you withhold, becomes the message that echoes through every muscle, every joint, every step you will take until the sun sets again. Dr. Shigaki Hinohara, who lived past 100 and cared for others nearly as long, understood this well. He once said, "A long life isn't sustained by effort, but by rhythm. Miss the morning beat, and the whole symphony suffers." Those words, soft as they are, carry weight. Because aging is not only about years passing, it's about rhythm slipping. And once that rhythm is broken, once we stop feeding the parts of ourselves that need attention, the body begins to shrink inward, not just in size, but in confidence, in movement, in trust. This rhythm begins more than anywhere else in the morning. Not in exercise routines or medication schedules, not in strict diets or complicated plans, but in that first quiet choice. What will nourish you after the long night? What will stop the quiet loss that's been happening while you slept? Because during sleep, especially after 60, the body draws from its reserves. Muscle, once strong and active, becomes fuel, not because the body wants to betray you, but because it has nothing else to hold on to. The longer you go without replacing what was lost, the longer your system remains in a state of survival. And survival, for a body in its later seasons, is not the same as living. Many begin their day with nothing more than coffee, or a slice of bread, a piece of fruit, maybe a biscuit dipped into tea. It feels soft, easy, digestible, especially when the appetite is low or the mood is quiet. But what these choices lack is not flavor or comfort. They lack the very ingredient your body is silently pleading for: protein. Not the kind found in powders or pills, but in real, tangible food that tells your cells, you are safe, you can build again. Because it is not enough to eat protein throughout the day. As the body ages, the timing becomes as important as the amount. This is something few people are told. After 60, your muscles don't respond to protein with the same efficiency. They require more, and they require it earlier. First hours of the day are the only time when insulin sensitivity, muscle receptivity, and hormonal balance all align to allow nourishment to truly be used for repair. Miss that window, and much of what you eat later simply drifts through without effect. That's why the first food matters more than most realize. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, cumulative one. A cup of plain Greek yogurt, full of natural leucine and slow-digesting protein, is not a trend or a trick. It is science meeting simplicity. Add to it a spoon of flaxseed, a pinch of turmeric or cocoa, and what you have is not just breakfast. It is a shield. A way to say to the body, you're not forgotten. You're not breaking down today. This is not about creating a strict morning rule. It's about restoring what was always natural. In places like Sardinia or Okinawa, older adults wake not to sugar or caffeine on an empty stomach, but to warmth, to soft eggs, fermented milk, simmered broths. There is no rush, no obsession with numbers, just foods that have been known for generations to carry strength, not in promises, but in presence. These elders aren't training for marathons. They are protecting their ability to walk to the garden, to carry a small bag home from the market, to reach for a sweater without fear of falling. Longevity is often spoken of as something that requires great effort, but the truth is quieter. It's built from small things done consistently. The spoon that stirs something nourishing, the bite that comes before the coffee, the decision not to skip, not to delay, but to feed your body when it most needs it. Gently, intentionally. Dr. Andrew Weil has said, "What you eat in the first hours of your day determines your biological messages for the next 12. That means every choice you make at sunrise becomes the blueprint your body follows through noon into evening. Give it strength, and it will hold you upright. Give it nothing, and it will start to take from within." This is not about regret. It is not about looking back at all the mornings missed. It is about recognizing that even now, especially now, your body is still listening, still waiting for the rhythm to return. And when it does, when the first meal begins to carry the message of restoration rather than mere habit, everything begins to shift. Not all at once, not in miracles, but slowly. First in the legs, a steadiness where there was once shakiness, then in the back and less hesitation in bending down, then in the hands, a confidence in rising from a chair. These are not dreams. They are the result of small, consistent nourishment delivered with respect. And maybe even deeper, in the heart, a new trust, a sense that your body, though weathered, is still working for you, that it wants to carry you forward, that it still responds, still heals, still holds potential. It begins tomorrow, or the next day, or whenever you are ready, with one food, one rhythm restored, not because someone told you to, but because something inside you whispered, "I still want to stand. I still want to move. I still want to live, not just longer but better."